At Memorial, we provide a land acknowledgement at our events. A land acknowledgement is offered to recognize Indigenous peoples' enduring connection to their traditional territories, to recognize the history of the land that is currently shared by many peoples, and to recognize stewardship as a shared commitment of all those who reside in a territory. The practice of territory acknowledgement is in itself a replication of an Indigenous practice which predates European contact. Our land acknowledgement for the St. John's campus of Memorial University is as follows. We respectfully acknowledge the territory in which we gather as the ancestral homelands of the Beothuk and the island of Newfoundland as the ancestral homelands of the Mi'kmaq and the Beothuk. We would also like to recognize the Inuit of Nunatsiavut and Nunatukavut and the Innu of Disinan and their ancestors as the original peoples of Labrador. We strive for respectful relationships with all the peoples of this province as we search for collective healing and true reconciliation. Honor this beautiful land together. I welcome you all, new graduate students, and of course, our distinguished speakers, welcome. My name is Amy Warren. I'm the Associate Dean of the School of Graduate Studies. And on behalf of the School of Graduate Studies, we thank you for choosing Memorial, and we want to extend best wishes for your upcoming semester. Even though we are working and you are studying remotely, please know the School of Graduate Studies is here to support you. We are very excited to bring you virtual orientation through MUN 501 online, which is housed in the Toolboxes section of the Graduate Commons. And we are excited to bring you this live welcome session here today. Before we begin, I would like to remind participants that during this session, it's very important the mic remains muted. And please keep your video off. This will help ensure the quality of the session for all participants and speakers. In the final half an hour, you will have the opportunity to ask our panelists questions. When all of the panelists have finished speaking, you will be invited to type your questions into the public chat, which you will find on the right-hand side of your screen. At this time, I would like to introduce our first speaker. We are so pleased to welcome our new president, Dr. Vian Timmins, here today. We've all gotten to know President Timmins and this beautiful province through her Tales from the Road MUN on Twitter. I grew up in Newfoundland and Labrador, and it made me so proud to be a part of this province after seeing her many posts this summer. Thank you, President Timmins. Please, it's over to you.
Thank you so much, Amy. And oh my goodness, I'm watching where everybody is from. It's so exciting. From all over the world. I've been to some of the places where you're from, but not all of them. I just want to also acknowledge these traditional lands in which we are privileged and honored to be able to be part of. Can you hear me okay, everyone?
There's a bit of background noise, so if everyone can just check and make sure that their microphone is muted. I can see a few people don't have their microphones muted.
Yes, stop. President Timmins, if you can hold for 1 second, the background feedback is really bad. Just 1 second. Is not muted, please do so. The list is quite long here, so we might be missing someone. We are receiving some really significant audio feedback. I'm not sure what's, I think coming, that's improved. Starting to get a bit better. President Timmins, I will kick in if you feel like your sound has dropped off, if that's okay.
All right, thank you, Amy. When I muted myself, feedback still happened. So I don't think it's me. I hope it's not me. But anyway, everyone, welcome. And I'm so thrilled to be able to speak with you all. I guess it's good morning to some, good evening to others, or welcome to Memorial University. I wish I could have done this in person, but sometime in the near future. I am pleased, though, that I could do this virtually to welcome you to Memorial University, your university, and to this new phase of your academic careers. For those who call this province home, thank you for choosing Memorial as your university to pursue the next stage of your studies. And from those from outside the province and around the world, I know that at some point you'll get the opportunity to experience the warmth and beauty of Newfoundland and Labrador. And I know it's tough getting to know your new university virtually, but I also know the School of Grad Studies has incredible support in place for you and will respond to all your needs. So don't hesitate in reaching out. You know, since I knew I had to talk to you, I was thinking about when I started my grad schooling, and I remember starting my PhD, and I had 2 babies while I did my PhD. And it was a challenging time, really difficult for me, because I also had 2 kids at home. So I had my 3rd and 4th child while I was doing my PhD. So I know it can be tough, but you can survive this. Beginning grad studies is challenging enough, but now you have to do it during COVID-19. I started my job during COVID-19, my new job, traveled across the country, had to self-isolate, as some of you are going to have to do, ended up having to buy a house, move in, try to get furniture and internet hooked up while a pandemic was going on. And so I have a little idea of some of the things that you're going to go through. I wanted, when I started my job, to meet people, and I couldn't. I could only meet them virtually. You're in the same situation. You would have, I know, look forward to meeting your peers and getting to talk face to face, and now you have to do that virtually. And I encourage you to do so. I've had the pleasure of meeting hundreds of people virtually, and it's been wonderful. Now, all of you, each of you have had your own reasons for choosing Memorial, but I want you to know that you've chosen a university that's exciting and inspirational, where innovation, creativity, and hard work are encouraged and recognized and rewarded. You know, it won't be easy starting this new graduate study program, but your dean is amazing, and so is our AVP of Student Services, who's going to speak with you, I think, Donna. Take advantage of them. They're there to make you be successful. They're only as successful as you are. I heard a puppy in the background. This is part of COVID. Children and dogs and interruptions, and all of us are going to have to learn to roll with this new world we live in. So remember to reach out, and if you're in trouble, there is a whole team to wrap around you and lift you up. You know, in Memorial, this is something I found out that really surprised me. We sometimes reward failures. The Memorial Center for Entrepreneurship has an award that's called the Fail Tail Cup, which is a fund to support student entrepreneurs who've tested a business idea and failed. Now, I don't want you to fail, so don't think that. Don't think about that. But it's just saying that trying new things, getting engaged, taking a risk is part of in the DNA of Memorial, and it's what we want to do. You know, this summer I was fortunate to take a road trip throughout the province. I met students in towns large and small, and what I was struck with was how creative, innovative, and determined they were to succeed, just like each of you are. You've adapted to one of the most difficult periods of our lifetime. And I know you're still optimistic about your future, or you wouldn't be enrolling in grad studies. Your decision to continue with grad studies is so important, especially right now. You know, universities, I believe, should reflect the world we want to live in, not the world we live in. And this has never been more true. I'm glad you're all here to help us move forward with hope and courage and create a better world. So once again, I'm going to stand with you shoulder to shoulder on this new adventure, starting a new part of your life during COVID, like I have. But welcome to Memorial University, your university, and the start of your grad programs. And it's the beginning of what I know is going to be an incredible journey. If you see me, please stop me and say hi, whether it's in the grocery store or on the street, if you're in St. John's. If you're from away and you come here, when you get here, we'll meet. face to face and we'll have a chat. But congratulations and good luck.
Thank you so much, President Timmons. We all are looking forward to getting to know you better as you enter this new role in this interesting time, as you put it. So now I would invite Dr. Donna Hardy-Cox, who is the Associate Vice President, Academic Students. Dr. Hardy-Cox, we are really happy to have you here today. And for students who may not realize, one of Dr. Hardy-Cox's main responsibilities is strategic initiatives to ensure student success. So it's really great that we have her here today to speak with you. Over to you, Dr. Hardy-Cox.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's a beautiful day here in St. John's, Newfoundland. And as you know, it's wonderful that we can connect virtually with this technology. I went a step further, went outside and took a picture of what it looks like here today with the beautiful flags flying in front of our university campus, and look forward to the time when we can welcome you here to the campus in a face-to-face environment, and you get a chance to explore our wonderful campus that we have here. So it's a delight to be here this afternoon. For those of you who are joining us at Memorial from across Canada or around the world, welcome. Though you can't join us here in person, we hope to have you in our wonderful province very, very soon. As a Newfoundlander and a Labradorian and an alumni of Memorial University, I may be a bit biased, but I have to say Newfoundland and Labrador is truly a great place to live, to study, and to work. For those of you who call this province home, welcome also, and thank you for staying to pursue the next stage of your academic career with us. We understand you all had a choice when you were selecting where you wanted to pursue your studies, and we want to thank you for deciding to stay here and to share and to study with us. Commencing graduate studies is truly, without question, a significant challenge. As a former dean of the School of Social Work and a former graduate student myself who studied internationally, I'm keenly aware of the sacrifice and determination it takes to succeed at this level. Graduate students play an important part in the overall success of Memorial University, from the significant research and scholarly work you do to the support and guidance you offer more junior students who are just beginning their academic careers. You are joining a highly accomplished and diverse graduate student community here at Memorial University. And I mentioned the junior scholars, and my heart is very much with them and with you today, because we have people taking their first introduction into university life. Today is orientation day for first-year students as well. And those students are anticipating their professors, what are they like, anticipating their teaching assistants, what are they like, how they're going to navigate their syllabus and their course schedules, and of course, meeting new friends. And they meet the agendas that you share with these individuals as well. As a graduate student, undergraduates look to you for role modeling and for coaching, and you play an important role in their education as well. I really encourage you, as President Timmons said, to embrace the opportunities that you will have here at Memorial, and to get to know your peers and colleagues and support each other. There's wonderful opportunities with using our virtual platforms to get to know and to connect with other students who share similar personal, academic, and research interests. Also get involved in your clubs and societies and student life. It may be getting involved with an organization. It may be accessing our athletics facilities. Make Memorial your home, a place where you can come and feel part of our community. You're going to have presentations today from GSU and Tommen, and they will give you some other examples of ways in which you can get involved in campus life. Now, that being said, I know that you will all also have very busy schedules, and in many cases, families and other competing commitments. I know that things may be different during these COVID times, but rest assured that Memorial is working really hard to ensure that the supports are in place to support and to help you manage. And I need to reiterate something that you've already heard today, and you're going to hear several other times from your other presenters today, is simply a matter of asking. And we have a campaign here at Memorial which says, "Ask me." And by asking questions, we will do our best to try and respond to them. Dr. Joy will be sharing her presentation shortly after mine, and she will give you an idea of the depth of services that are available here at Memorial to support you personally and to support your academic success. While we have prepared many of our offices, people have been working really hard all summer long. I'm so proud of the teams around the university who have come together to make sure that we're prepared for the fall semester. There may be things we've missed along the way that we haven't anticipated. So we'd really like for you to share things that you see along the way that we could perhaps address that we haven't come to our awareness. So we look forward to working with you on those things as well. I think that, again, this is a little bit being biased with Memorial, but I think my knowledge of universities across the country give me a fair degree of confidence in suggesting to you that you are now belonging to one of the strongest, if not the most committed, faculty and staff in your School of Graduate Studies. The individuals that you will meet today in this presentation from the School of Graduate Studies are so committed, and I would say perhaps the most committed in the country, to supporting and being very creative about responding to emergent issues, needs, and ways to support graduate student success. So I really think you're in great hands, and I encourage you to ask those questions along the way so that we can continue to support you. It's a great time to be at Memorial, and I believe you've chosen to continue your studies in an exciting and inspiring environment where innovation, creativity, hard work, and as the president said, even failures are encouraged to move us forward. Once again, welcome to Memorial University and the beginning of what I know will be an incredible journey for you. I wish you all the best during this very busy and exhilarating year and look forward to meeting you when you arrive on campus. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hardy Cox. Great words of wisdom for our new graduate students. Before we go to our next speaker, in the chat, a few people were worried that they missed important information. The information that was posted in the chat before many of you logged on, I reiterated during my introduction, which was that we were recording the session up until the question and answer period, and just to ask people to mute their microphones and please keep their video off. So you didn't miss anything other than that. So with that said, I'm going to move on. I would like to now welcome Dr. Amy Supernall, who's an Associate Vice President Academic, Dean of the School of Graduate Studies. I'm very lucky to work alongside Dr. Supernall, and when I say that she is a student-centered individual, that would be an understatement. She's a fully engaged leader. Student interest is always top of mind. So we're very lucky to have her as our leader of the School of Graduate Studies. So over to you, Dr. Supernall, with our keynote address.
Great. Thank you very much, Dr. Warren. I feel very privileged and lucky to be in this position, to be overseeing so many fantastic scholars and researchers. And I count my stars every day and say how lucky I am to be in this position to support and to help the success of all of the students at the university, but the graduate students in particular. So I'm going to be giving you a lot of pieces of advice here today, and that's something that I can't help myself from doing. I love to give advice. It's one of the reasons I love this job. But if I do want you to take one thing away from this presentation and this whole session is that we are here for you. Every student has different situations, different circumstances, and so sometimes our policies and procedures, et cetera, aren't going to work for everyone. So please ask questions, and please ask if you need anything from us. Julie, if you could go to the next slide, please. So what I have copied here is a comic from a very talented individual by the name of Jorge Cham, who does a comic strip called PhD Comics. And it's a really funny, very insightful view of PhDs, and master's students can find themselves in here as well. And this particular cartoon is about the grad school, the board game. And he has very deliberately drawn it as an infinity symbol because many people get stuck, not many people, some people get stuck in going around and around in not in circles, but in infinity. And what we want to do here today is to try and give you an off-ramp to make sure that you're making plans so that you don't actually get stuck in this infinite loop of graduate school. So next slide, please. There are 4 main points that I'm going to be making for your graduate student school success. And the first is for you to make a plan. The second is to be flexible and adventurous. The third is to communicate. And the fourth is to take advantage of all of the resources that are going to be provided for you. Next slide, please. So what is your plan? Have you made a plan yet? Where do you want to be? What's your goal? Next slide, please. There's a lot of research actually on how to make a good plan and what a plan might involve. And most of the research comes down to making about 5 different steps of making a plan. And the first one is to assess your skills, your values, your interests. Where are you now? What have you got that you can bring to the table? The second is to develop your goals, figure out where you want to be, and then write the plan, which is a roadmap to all of the steps that you need to do in order to get to that goal. It's very important to discuss that plan with your mentors, with your supervisors, with your graduate officers, et cetera, to make sure that that plan is realistic. Many times students will have a plan that might not actually be doable in the time frame available, and they have to negotiate a little bit in order to get a plan that's actually doable. Then start executing your plan, and then because every good plan needs revision, revise and review depending on the circumstances, and then start over again. We're continuously redoing our plans, we're continuously adding new pathways or taking other pathways away. Next slide, please. So we provided in the Grad Commons toolboxes, which I'll be talking about later, a number of tools for you to use to make your plan. You don't have to use any of them, but it's just ideas for you. This particular one is a Gantt, what's called a Gantt chart, which has a bunch of different tasks that happen at the same time that go over different periods of time. And what I want you to get from this is that first, you have to do multiple things at the same time. You don't just do a literature review and then a proposal and then your ethics. You can work on them at the same time. The second is for you to have your deadlines, et cetera, in your plan so that you make sure that you meet the benchmarks and the deadlines that are set for you. And then most importantly, there is in the little yellow oval, it says HALS, H-O-L-S. Well, that's an abbreviation for holidays. And what I really want you to make sure that you do is to plan in not just holidays, but time off, time for yourself. And it may actually be down to, you know, a day here or a day there. It might be a week, et cetera. But make sure that you plan to have some balance in your life. Next slide, please. However, you're going to have to be flexible. So again, best laid plans are always led astray by circumstances. And although people think that success looks like a straight line from the beginning to the end. If you talk to people who've been around for a while, and probably most of you already know this, the road to success is never straight. There's always going to be curves and switchbacks, and you sometimes have to retrace your steps. Sometimes you have to start over again, and sometimes you end up somewhere that you didn't plan to be. Next slide, please. So as you are going along and you've got this nice plan, make sure to be flexible with that plan and be adventurous. And if something comes up, if some side road comes down, appears that you might want to follow for a little while, give it a try, be adventurous. And as we've said at least 3 times already today, don't be afraid to fail. You know, failure is just the next step towards getting to where you want to be. You might have to backtrack, you might have to go on many switchbacks, but try different things. And when opportunities arise that are going to be helpful to you or that make you happy, please take those side roads. Make sure that you take the time to explore and be adventurous. Next slide, please. The next piece of advice is to communicate. Next slide. And the most important person in your research career is a supervisor. So the relationship with your supervisor is just that. It's a relationship. It's between 2 people, and all relationships actually require a little bit of work. All relationships require a little bit of give and take, a little bit of communication, and a lot of understanding. As Dr. Timmons mentioned and Dr. Hardy-Cox mentioned, we're in challenging times, and we have to be kind to one another and recognize that none of us have done anything like this before. And so you may end up having to do more communication than usual. And so the role of your supervisor is key in affecting your success. So you really need to work on that relationship and make sure that you are on the same page and you have communicated with one another. Next slide, please. So communicating with your supervisor includes a number of different things. Most importantly is to keep in regular communication. It used to be a lot easier when you could just walk down the hall and poke your head in the door and see if they have a few minutes. That's not the case this semester, and it may not be the case for a while. So make sure that you take the initiative to plan to meet regularly. Discuss in those meetings expectations, roles, and responsibilities. We have provided in the Grad Commons a template letter of understanding that you can talk with your supervisor about putting together specific roles and responsibilities so that you're very clear on what you are responsible for, what your supervisor is responsible for. Make sure that you know all appropriate deadline dates and regulations. And the best people to help you with those deadline dates and regulations are the staff in your particular department or school or faculty. So these are the secretaries, the administrators, et cetera, and they keep really close tabs on students and they really help them through their programs. So they're really important people to get to know, and they're really important people to be nice to. Discuss research and scholarship ideas with your supervisor. Ask for guidance. Say, I'm not sure whether this plan or that plan, and how do I narrow these things down? Ask for key readings in your area, et cetera, et cetera. Keep apprised of all of our professional development opportunities. You'll be hearing a little bit about the EDGE workshops later, but School of Graduate Studies provides a large number of professional development opportunities along the way. Discuss and uphold standards of academic integrity. You need to be very familiar with the rules around plagiarism, around using other people's work without their permission, et cetera. And make sure that you clarify issues of intellectual property, data management, and authorship. So you need to talk very carefully with your supervisor about what the rules are in terms of authorship in your field, in their lab, excuse me, and how they want you to keep their data or your data and share it with one another. Next slide, please. But don't just communicate very narrowly. You should communicate very broadly. Look around, make friends with peers in your same area, with others outside of your area, Of course, there's the School of Graduate Studies. There's communities in and beyond campus, and just take advantage of the opportunities that are available there. Next slide, please. We have lots of resources that are provided. As soon as you register, you should be signed up for our Brightspace shell called the Graduate Commons, which is an online community for all Memorial graduate students. Next slide, please. And the front page of the Graduate Commons has a events tab, and there we'll post important things, pieces of advice, links, etc. Right now it's got a link to my welcome video. But then under the Toolboxes tab, next slide, please. We've provided all kinds of tools for you to use. We have the MUN 501, which is the orientation materials. But we have a program planning toolkit, and you'll find the Gantt chart in there that you can copy or amend to what works for you. We have a writing toolkit that has videos and advice and blogs, etc. The Working with the Supervisor toolkit has that template letter of understanding that I talked about. We have online advice, finances, professional development. Next slide, please. Wellness and self-care. It's very important for you to take care of yourself. All kinds of other different tools that you can use. Each one of these tabs has a bunch of different resources under it. Next slide, please. And then we're also have started a discussion forum, or a number of discussion forums where you can talk amongst yourselves or help one another out or introduce yourself and form and create an online community. And so please feel free to introduce yourself. We have a general discussion thread that is introductions, and I'd really love to hear from all of you. And I should have mentioned at the front, it's amazing where you're all from. I think I got most of them: Azerbaijan, BC, Midwest, Brazil, Ontario, Iran, Greece, Vancouver, Corner Brook, Lima, Peru, Calgary, Ontario, St. Albans, India, CBS, Oman, Delhi, New York, New York. I did my undergraduate degree at NYU, so I miss New York. And so you're from all over the world. It's so exciting, but you can connect through this discussion forum. Next slide, please. Our main website, www.mun.ca/sgs, has all of the information that you might need on registration and resources, etc. All of the forms that you might need, etc. Next slide, please. And then I couldn't resist giving some specific advice. We, about once a year, end up with a student who has lost all of their data, has somehow lost their thesis, has somehow had a computer crash, and everything is gone. And I really don't ever want to have that happen to you, ever. So make sure to back up your data, back up your thesis, back up your presentations, back up your computer, back up everything. And have a plan. Do it once a week, do it once a day, do it however often you feel is necessary. Next slide, please. And then I suggest that you get on social media, and in particular, academic Twitter has an enormous amount of value for grad students to ask advice and to get advice and to make connections. So you should follow the people in your lab. You should follow the people in your department or your field. So just search in Twitter for chemistry, Twitter, etc., and you'll find there are all kinds of people who are out there who are willing to give you advice and to help and to connect with you. There's a Twitter handle called Academic Secret Menu, where they demystify some of the rules around graduate school. There's PhD to Publish, where they've got publishing advice. Academic Chatter is all about things academic, grad school, and faculty, etc. And then there are special communities. There's been recently a lot of amazing Twitter threads on Black in neuroscience, Black in geochemistry, science communication, chemistry, etc. There's all kinds of resources for women in STEM. And I really find it to be a very useful tool for advice. If you can go to the next slide, please. Just to give you an example, this is all within the last week of things that I've retweeted. There's a blog that was posted on how to find, apply for, and win a fellowship, and there's lots of really great advice there. Next. This is a thread on how to survive in your first week of graduate school. And there's just an incredible depth of advice there. Next, please. Here's Inside Higher Ed provided motivational tips if you need encouragement to write. Next slide. And then there are internships and job postings that will also get amplified and retweeted by me, by the grad studies, et cetera, et cetera. So it's really a great place to find information. Next slide, please. And finally, beware of the imposter syndrome. We all at one time period or another feel as if we're just making it up as we go along, that we have no idea what we're doing. This is a picture of a dog doing chemistry, and we sometimes really feel like we're just out of our depth. I want to assure you that your applications were carefully vetted by an expert admissions team, and that you are in fact qualified for this position. You have all of the things that are necessary in order to succeed in your program. I believe in you, and so don't let the doubts make you paralyzed. So continue, even if you feel like this this golden retriever here, or next, please. The left shark, which was a guy who got up on the stage and started dancing, and he didn't, or she, I don't know if it's a he or she, they didn't know what they were doing, but they had fun anyway. So just keep trying, and I know that you can do it. Next slide, please. We often feel that the compliments that we receive are either from someone who is lying or from nice relatives who don't know what they're talking about, like my mom. She's next. She always says nice things to me, but I don't believe her because she has to. That's her job. Next slide, please. And then finally, you're awesome. You have the skills, the ability, and the knowledge to complete your program. You are absolutely qualified to be here, and we are so privileged and pleased that you have chosen Memorial University to continue your graduate work. And we are here to help you, but I have absolute confidence that you'll be able to succeed in and thrive in your program. Next slide. So keep in touch. Here is some contact information. The general email, sgs@mun.ca, is monitored continuously, and we're always forwarding the information or the emails to whoever needs to answer the email. So please feel free to use that email anytime. The two Twitter handles, Grad Studies is the general Grad Studies one. The next one is my personal, SGS Dean, and then we're also on Facebook. So thank you very much. Enjoy your program, and I really very much look forward to getting to know all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Supernal. We all appreciate your advice going forward. And once again, I can attest to the fact that we are here for you at the School of Graduate Studies. So please always keep that in mind. So now we're going to move on, and I'm going to welcome our next speaker. We have the fortune of having Dr. Rhonda Joy, who is the Associate Dean, Graduate Programs and Research with the Faculty of Education. So you have the unique opportunity of hearing from someone within one of the specific faculties. Some of you may be a member of that faculty now, beginning this fall. And we're going to hear about surviving and thriving in graduate school from Dr. Joy. So over to you, Dr. Joy.
Thank you very much, Dr. Warren. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Memorial University, our fall semester. I'm here today to speak to you about surviving and thriving in grad school. And I'll start off with our next slide, Julie. This may represent how all of us feel at one time or another. We've come into this term, I think starting grad school can be stressful for us, at least at times. It's also exciting, and it's new, and it's different, and there's so much going on that it can be overwhelming at times. especially with COVID right now. I think a lot of our fears or concerns may be heightened a bit, and there's some uncertainty around how things will unfold. So all that contributes to the stress we may feel at different times, along with the excitement. Know that you are not alone, that you are feeling this, and I can guarantee you faculty feel it, other students feel it, certainly even our staff feel it as they move forward into a new term and we work through this and try to figure it out together. If we could switch again, Julie, please. As we move forward and we look at your particular journey, it's really important that you consider your journey as unique. Don't compare yourself to others. Follow your own path. So when we look at this, we want to, it's easy to think whether it's across programs in a university or even within your own program, you see someone else doing something that you feel you have to do. You worry about yourself. You are on your own trajectory. You are on your own path. And that is what you need to focus on. Remember that as you go forward, don't compare yourself, follow your own path, and be true to yourself in terms of what your goals and ambitions are for your graduate program. Next slide, please, Julie. So part of being on that unique journey is thinking about who we are as individuals. Julie, if I could get you to switch, please. Thank you. So all of us are on our own unique journey. What do we want to get from our graduate program? We come into this program and we want to certainly get a degree, but what else is it that we're seeking from the program? What I want from a program may be very different from what you want. All of us, if we're entering, for example, in my field, if you're all here doing a master's in education, you will be exposed to similar content information, or if you're in engineering or arts or whatever your program may be, each of you will be exposed to similar content material within your own programs. The interesting piece of this is that each of you comes to this program with a wealth of experiences and knowledge that is different from the other person. And you have an opportunity to share and contribute where you've come from, but also to think about what your short and long-term goals are and how you want to develop within your program. I've done research around what I call.
Joy, Dr. Joy, can you hold for 1 second? We're getting some really bad feedback and we can't hear you. I'm just going to remind all participants, we have a very large meeting. There's 141 participants here. If you can hear me, please mute your mics. There are a few mics that we can see might be live, but we're unable to mute them. It may be that you're connected in a different way by telephone. If you can please take the second to mute your mic so that we can give our panelists the attention they deserve, because it's really hard to when there's mics that are live. Just give that a second. It sounds like the noise has definitely cleared up, Dr. Joy. I'm very sorry to interrupt you, but I think it's better to do it now. Go ahead.
Yep, no worries. Again, this is technology. I think it's something new to all of us, and I'm guilty as anybody of trying to figure this out and learning as we go along. So no worries. So in terms of, I've written up on the screen, career integrated learning. So when we think about our long-term or short-term goals, yes, it is about our graduate degree and getting a graduate degree, but bigger than that, it's about our own development. And what career integrated learning is about is reflecting on, becoming aware, reflecting on, and then being able to articulate some of the competencies that we gain through our graduate program. Once we become aware and start to think about what those competencies are, what we bring to our program, and what we hope to get out of our program or further develop within our program, then we have an opportunity, enhanced opportunity, to develop all of our areas and our skills and assets within our graduate program. you are then in what I call the driver's seat, and this is where your program is unique. You get to tailor and think about what it is you want to get from this experience. And it can be in the courses that you choose. It can be in how you engage in this university and outside in the community and with others. How involved you are, how much you give will determine how much you get out of this experience. An example of this would be something like thinking about where your strengths are in terms of the courses you take and considering the type of evaluation you have within a course. For example, I may not be a really strong leader and don't take a leadership role in a group. So part of what I need to do as an individual might be to say, hey, when I'm in a group discussion or when I'm in a course, I am going to volunteer to take on that leadership role. Or perhaps I always take on that leadership role and I'm going to learn to step back a little bit more. It all comes from your own unique experience, opportunity, and what you want to get out of a course and evaluation, for example, as you reflect on what your needs are. Presentations could be another area where perhaps you will say, you know, I really would like to further develop my presentation skills. It could be something that you focus on in a course, or if it's a choice between two courses and one has a presentation, the other one doesn't, it may mean that you will step out of your comfort zone and go to that course and focus on those presentation skills. The other piece of this is as you reflect and think about this, you have competencies that you have gained through work experience, through coming to Memorial. Being a student at Memorial, I had someone comment to me, a student comment to me about the organizational skills that is required to be a graduate student at this university or any university in order to complete the work that you have to do. And also when you think about online learning and the adjustments and the flexibility required to work in this environment, your ability to connect with people, to get used to online learning, those are all additional skills that you are actually developing this term that perhaps if you were in a classroom scenario face-to-face, it wouldn't be something that you would be focused on. So this is certainly a new way of engagement, a new form, a new type of competency that you are starting to develop because of COVID. So, you know, it can be challenging for people, but it's also an opportunity to learn. There are lots of examples of the different types of skills that you can develop, but this is really important as you think about your long-term and short-term goals. And I would think for the majority of you, your plan and reason for going to university certainly is to expand your own knowledge, but the end goal for you is to get a job. So as you plan and think about your work, you need to think about what is it that I'm getting from this university, from this degree. Certainly there may be professional degrees and skill sets that apply specifically to positions, but there's a broader skill set here, that competencies that you are developing, that if you are aware of them, you can articulate them to employers. I had a student who applied for a position at a university, or actually a school in the UK, and because she was thoughtful and reflective about the competencies that she had developed in her program and was able to talk about them in an interview, she got that position, and the interviewer actually told her that the reason why she got the position was she was able to tell that interviewer why she should be hired for that job based on the competency she had developed through her experience. So I can't emphasize that enough. There are supports in the universities. You will have some instructors or professors who will talk about the competencies in your courses. You could ask to see if they can help articulate them to you. You could also work with the student life program and career development area with Julie to look at and explore what that means for you as an individual, and also maybe help you develop a path or a plan for further developing some of those competencies and learning to become more aware and articulate them going forward. Julie, if you could move ahead to the next slide, please. So hold on to the idea of competencies that you're developing, that this university experience is bigger than just a degree. There's so much more that you're getting from this that you're often not aware of. I tell students in my own faculty, as a faculty of education, that students come to our particular program. Yes, they get a degree that allows them to teach, but it's much broader than that. Ours is an education degree that trains educators, but there's a whole set of competencies within that degree that are transferable to a multitude of other positions. And if you think about it or look around you on a day-to-day basis, look at people in positions. Go ask people that you're speaking to on a daily basis, friends, people in different positions. What type of degree or background do you have? We have a lot of judges, for example, in Newfoundland who come from an education background. Dr. Timmons, I believe, has an education background. You can use the degrees in a multitude of ways, and I would certainly encourage you to think about your own particular degree and the transferability of that degree and the competencies acquired from that. So as we move forward, we also need to think about and be aware of the types of resources that Memorial as a whole has available to students. The previous speakers have addressed this, and I'll just quickly run through them and put a plug in for some of our particular areas. But as a student, even though you're not on campus, these resources are still available to you. And it's really important you get online and check out the types of supports that are available and how to access them. Academic support, there's lots of different types of academic support available. The Blunden Center has services. EDGE offers a number of different courses or professional development or study skills types of courses. We have the Writing Center at Memorial. We also have a number of interdisciplinary courses. For example, Education offers 6461, which is a writing course. If any of you listening this afternoon are thinking about doing any type of research or work involving writing, I strongly encourage you to look into this course as a potential course that you might want to enroll in. It comes highly rated and is a course that I think is quite useful to a lot of students. There are funding supports that you need to think about and be aware of, check out online. Career development is part of the EDGE program. Julie Barring is your contact person for the EDGE program. There's resume writing services, there's interview skills, there's professional development, professional skill development workshops. If you have an interview coming up and you're looking for practice and interview skills, this EDGE and Julie can provide some of those services to you. If you're thinking about research and managing research, there's sessions available around that, or time management skills. If there's career advice, or you want to further explore what it is or where it is you want to go with your career, EDGE and A Student Life will provide or have those resources for you to access. So please keep that in mind. They are also on Facebook. There's a link in our program here at MUN, or a page for it on our websites that will allow you to access that information as well. Julie, if you could turn to another slide, please. So the resources there in terms of Student Life are wide and varied, but MUN also has a number of other resources that are important for you to think about. We mentioned earlier that for all of us, all students, the availability of student health and wellness is really important. We may go along and everything may be fine, or we may experience bumps in this road. Maybe the stress of work or work in combination with other things may get the better of us, and we may need to reach out for support. Student health and wellness is there to support students. Don't be afraid to access those resources. Use them for counseling, to talk to students, to talk to professionals. There are people that can support you in various ways. The Internationalization Office is also available. They have lots of information there about international students with questions about international students that have questions about their programs or visas or whatever the case may be. They also offer support to students in terms of community and connection. They offer a number of different gatherings and group offerings that allow students to connect. The Aboriginal Resource Center is another resource I think that would be important for you to be aware of. And of course, the Graduate Students Union, you had someone speak on that earlier. That would certainly be another organization that you should get online and find out about. And of course, the School of Grad Studies, there's a lot of information that I reference myself in dealing with students that would be really important for you to know, from finding out guidelines for theses, to policies, to forms if you want to drop a course or add a course or look for a leave of absence. All of those forms and information are available. There's lots of links and resources to access. There's blogs, there's other types of information, frequently asked questions. And I know in this particular fall coming up, information technology or information on technology services and supports for technology would be available there as well. So please have a look at that and see if there's information that might help you in terms of your own particular journey. If you could switch again, please, Julie. So we're talking about MUN resources, but also within your own departments, whatever program you are in or enrolled in within the university, there are resources that would be important for you to be aware of and access within the university. First and foremost, it's mentioned second on my list here, but number one for me as an administrator and for you as well, I think is staff. Staff have so much knowledge and information, are a great resource for you. If you have questions, need guidance, need support, or trying to figure out a direction or who it is you should speak to about an issue, they are your contact people and they can certainly direct you. We have some wonderful, knowledgeable people there that are only too happy to support and direct you. The next group of people I think that are really important resources for you are your advisors. I know for the faculty, each faculty may work differently, but in the Faculty of Education, each student that enters a program is given and is assigned to an advisor, which is their first contact upon entering a program. But also, and it may be the same or different in other faculties, but you should explore that for your own particular faculty or department. But your instructors, getting to know your instructors. And I know on the online environment, it's not quite as easy. I often have students say to me, you know, I find it really hard to connect with students, or I didn't really get to know my prof because it was an online course. There are ways of engaging with your instructors to contribute to class discussions, to ask questions of your prof. They usually have office hours where you can set up a meeting to chat with them. It could be about the course, it could be about the research that they're doing, just a way of connecting and making a connection with them so that they know who you are. They can answer questions. There may be questions about your course and your program that they may be able to answer. You in this process as well, if you're thinking about research, by forming some of these connections and getting to know your prof and the type of research that they do and their interests, you can kind of find out if there's a connection there, if this is someone that you could work with as a potential supervisor, and start that conversation very early in your program. so that you're feeling your way and having a better sense of who the faculty are that you're working with and the instructors in general, and making them more aware of who you are. So please keep your departmental resources in mind there as well, and those are certainly some of the key people that you need to consider. Next slide, please, Julie. So part of being involved and engaging with faculty and making this a more positive experience for you is the ability to connect and network with people. We've just talked about your advisors and your supervisors or instructors making that connection there. But there are other ways of reaching out and getting a handle on what a faculty is about, what's going on or happening in a faculty, and getting to know some people who attend some of these functions and making connections with them. So a faculty or department will often have seminars that you can attend, receptions, orientations, guest speaker presentations where you have a chance to be present, look around the room, the virtual room, and find out who else is in there, a chance to have an opportunity to ask questions, to put a face to a name so that you see who some of these folks are, and to form connections even outside your department to learn what is going on elsewhere. So that becomes a really important part of connecting and networking with people and making your experience more positive and more beneficial to you in the longer run. Volunteering, even online, there's ways that you can support and volunteer, so I would certainly encourage you to look into that. And there are also networking sessions that are offered through Student Life and through the EDGE programs, 10,000 coffees, there's cafe concerts. You'll see if you are online or you're linked up to some of the social media, you will see notices about different opportunities. Step outside your comfort zone, reach out and check out some of these places. Even if it's not who you are, give it a try and see what you can learn from the experience. It can be a benefit to you in the long run. Finally, the last place in terms of connecting, you're doing it within the university as a whole, within your departments, but also look at your community, the community in which you live, the university community here or the broader community. You'll see lots of opportunities to engage virtually as well as face-to-face where possible. And I know that we are challenged with face-to-face networking and connecting, but hopefully as time moves on, those opportunities will expand. But even as we stand right now, there's certainly opportunities for that. So seek them out, look for them, and certainly avail of them so that you will be more enriched in your experience here at MUN. Okay, Julie, if I could ask you to continue, please. It's been mentioned before, and I cannot emphasize it enough. Ask questions. If you're not sure of something, I can promise you no one will think your question is stupid. I also can promise you that you are not the only one that's asked that question, that we have frequently asked questions posted on our SGS website. We have them for our faculties as well. A lot of faculties will have them where you can go in and look at those questions, but there may be questions specific to you that you would like answered. We're here to support and help you. We want to do whatever we can to do that. So please don't hesitate to reach out, ask questions of those around you. If we don't have the answers, we will certainly try our best to find them for you so that you feel that